All right, welcome back to the Bad MMA Math Fight Breakdown. Today we are joined by a regular guest of the channel, Antoine at Making the Walk MMA. Nice to have you here for what we hope will be a regular segment. How are you on this fine day, sir?
Man, I'm good. We had some technical difficulties, but we made it. So I'm actually excited to see this card. It's one of those flying under the radar type of cards, you know what I'm saying? But these are the ones that end up with like 15 knockouts or something weird, you know what I'm saying? So
that's what we spoke a little bit about this off air. You know, often when a card promises to deliver a lot, it often disappoints, and then, you know, in the opposite, hoping not to jinx it, that when we don't expect much, that's usually when we get, you know, we get a little bit of fire. So we're going to give a quick breakdown of all the fights through the prelims, main card. We'll just do a little quick breakdown of each one, and just talk about how we think what we think the best betting line is on each fight. Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right, so kicking off with the prelims, we have the heavyweight bottom feeders are back. We've got POGUEZ versus Peterson. Now, this one's a little bit of a tricky one for me because they're both not great. But, you know, POGUEZ is like a former light heavyweight. I think he will have the speed advantage in there, and he's definitely going to have the striking advantage. I also have a little bit of a soft spot for him. You know, I think he was on like a UFC Embedded episode, and there was some, you know, he's had like cancer in his family and whatnot, and had a very difficult kind of, so I've got a bit of a soft spot for him there. I think that Peterson, though, is going to have the advantage, and I think it's going to be in the wrestling. In this fight, I kind of like Peterson to take him to the ground at some point and possibly get a ground and pound finish. He never goes the distance. So yeah, I like him on the money line generally. The only issue that I have with Peterson is his cardio is absolutely shocking. So if the fight goes over a certain amount, maybe POGUEZ could take over, but getting him at 160 I think is pretty good. So I'm going to take Peterson to win on the money line.
Yeah, you know what? I would also take Peterson. And the only I don't like his nickname, I'll tell you that. Thomas the Train. That's you got to be more inventive than that. But like you said, to your point, like he is a finisher early. He does have a variety of ways to finish. He doesn't have the cleanest striking, as you pointed out, but he does have some power. He has some finishes, and then, you know, Jamal Pogues, like his wins come by decision, so he tends to just do just enough to get by. So I would definitely have to go Peterson on that one as well. And like you said, the wrestling advantage, he comes from Minnesota, strong wrestling area. So yeah, it's going to be an uphill battle for Jamal, but I think Thomas got that one.
It's going to be a tough one. Yeah. I just think the size is going to be an issue. Be a very tough watch. Yeah, that might be a get the snacks ready fight. Do you know what I mean? Just while you're kind of watching it over the side. All right, so the next one, fight number 2. I'm a little bit more excited about this one. It's a lightweight scrap between Medeiros and QUINONEZ. Again, I like Medeiros on this one. I think his stand-up is pretty slick. He's got really good kickboxing. I like his shot selection. He's got a little bit more pop than QUINONEZ. I feel like if QUINONEZ is going to have a decent chance in this one, he's going to need to take his opponent down, and he's not very elite at doing that. Hakparas beat the hell out of him in his last one, and Medeiros is coming off a 5-fight win streak. You know, we've spoken about this before, how winning is contagious. And he's got 3 KOs in his last 5. I do think it's a decent matchup. I wouldn't be surprised one way or another, but I think, again, I look at it from an odds perspective, and being able to get Medeiros at -120, I think is really, really good odds. I think he's more vicious, and I think he's going to get this done, and I'd be very surprised if this went the distance.
That's true. Hakparas did show me that, I mean, it almost felt like QUINONEZ wasn't ready for this level. Going into that fight, I was actually pretty high on QUINONEZ, just based on what he had done in Titan FC before. But Hakparas said, "No, you're not at this level yet." And I think that Medeiros, he like you said, he has some vicious tendencies, and I think he's going to bring that in. And plus, Factory X is kind of on a little run right now, so I think, yeah, I'm gonna have to go with you on that one too. I think Medeiros gets it done, and I think he gets it done inside of 3. So I think he gets a finish.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he catches a knockout as well. I think that would be. Yeah. I think it will be a very entertaining fight, either way.
Yep.
Speaking of fights that won't be entertaining, fight 3. We have a flyweight contest between Karolina and Stoliarenko. I don't love this one at all. I don't love the matchup, but more importantly, I don't really love this from a betting perspective. Karolina's a bit of a weird one for me. Very awkward striking, very awkward style. Sloppy, I think would be reasonable to say. But, you know, she is oddly effective in what she does, and Stoliarenko is not a brilliant striker. I know she slapped Molly McCann a little bit in the last one and managed to get her down, but
yeah,
I don't love it. She had a bit of a back and forth war with Petrovic. She was just not good, as in Karolina did. I'll be honest, I'm not going to bet on this personally, but I'm probably going to edge Stoliarenko. The Molly McCann win doesn't really mean anything, to be honest. Like, she's horrible. But when I'm betting, I tend to go for somebody who I feel like has a distinct advantage. And I think in the grappling, Stoliarenko looked very strong in that last one. And I wouldn't be surprised if she managed to get Karolina down and possibly get a sub. Because I usually, when I take on women's fights, I usually take the over or I take the under. Usually the over. But Stoliarenko's got an ability to grab a sub, and I can either see it going that way, where Stoliarenko gets her down, finds a sub, or Karolina just pops her for 3 rounds and takes a decision. But
yeah,
I like Stoliarenko to get this one done. I think she looked good in her last one, and I think she's going to get it done in this one.
Yeah, you know what, with Karolina, she does actually kind of fight well going backwards. But in the judge's eyes, going backwards does not help you, and it's not like she's hurting people going backwards. She'll snipe some shots and here and there, and do a well account of herself going backwards. But it always ends up in an awkward or weird position, as it did when she fought Molly McCann and got caught with that spinning back elbow. So I gotta again go with you on Stoliarenko. She has a clear path to victory, and Karolina hasn't shown that she has elite takedown defense by any means. And I think this fight is going to end up there. If for whatever reason Stoliarenko can't get her down, I do think that Karolina can beat her with her striking. I think that she does have a distinct advantage in the striking. It's point fighting as far as her striking. But if she can do that and stay off the ground, then Karolina can win. But I just don't think that that's what happens. I think she trips over a banana peel and ends up on the ground, and Stoliarenko subs her.
Yeah, no, I think that's kind of what I see in it as well. I think if Karolina had more power, I'd be concerned. But I think Stoliarenko's got a very decent chin. I think she's going to be able to walk through that and drag her down to the ground. So yeah, I like her winning.
If Karolina had more power, she would be so much further in the division, because she has
definitely
elite physical attributes as far as like her arm length, her reach. her ability to kind of switch stances to evade the fence sometimes, but no pop on your punches, it doesn't really mean anything. So
yeah,
it sucks.
So, I mean, I would categorically tell people to not bet on this, but
no,
if you're one of those people who has to bet on every fight for the juice, then I'd edge Stoliarenko, but I'm not pretending.
The juice isn't worth the squeeze. I'll tell you that.
No, it's definitely not. All right, so fight number 4, we have a featherweight bout between Blake Bilder and Lee. Again, I'm not overly confident in this one, but I am going to take Blake Bilder. The reason why I'm a little bit worried is, again, he was quite a hyped prospect coming up, but in his last fight against Carl Nelson, he looked decent for bits of it and then just gassed really, really horribly. It felt like Carl Nelson just had to survive in there long enough to get past a certain point, and Blake Bilder just wilted, and then he managed to get outworked, so that's a little bit of a worry. The reason why I can't pick Lee is he's a can crusher. There are a lot of and I didn't really like his last fight. He had a split decision against another can crusher. It was a really close fight, and I'm just not sure that he has the power to hurt Bilder. I think when I'm looking at these two, I feel like Bilder's going to be able to bring more damage. I would say that Lee is slightly more technical, but I think if Bilder goes for takedowns here, I think he's got a more clearer path to victory. I think if he uses the striking to set the takedowns up and is a little bit more measured in there, I'm sure he's going to have gone back to the drawing boards. I can see him winning this one. I think the over 2.5 is quite nice as well. So I think both men, are quite resilient. They're hard to finish. I think there will be a little bit of back and forth in this one. Very risky, but with Bilder at the underdog especially, at plus 140, Lee hasn't really fought anyone good. I feel like I have to side with him just purely from a betting perspective.
Yeah, if I was going from a betting perspective, I would probably go that way as well. Just for the return on it. But as far as the fight itself, I'm actually going Lee. I'm not confident about that though at all. Not at all. But I would go Lee, and the reason I say Lee, he is a can crusher. The dude that he fought, Yiza, I think in the final, is also for sure, like you said, a can crusher. I think that dude was like 22-3. He's got those Dagestani records. But I think that Lee, he did show me a little bit of something there, as from his technical striking, and his ability to just be a scrapper. And I think that Bilder will bring that out of him and bring some of that pop. He kind of reminds me, and I don't want to typecast the dude, but he kind of reminds me of the way that Song Yadong came in, and Song Yadong found that power. And I think that when Lee starts to move into situations where he's going to have to sit down on these punches, he will. And I think that Bilder's going to bring that out of him. So I actually think that Lee hurts him at some point in this fight. He may not finish him, but
and Bilder is hurtable.
He is. And I think that he hurts him, and that cardio that you mentioned starts to fall apart, and Lee starts to take over. So I would take Lee. But if I were betting, I wouldn't even bet on this.
I wouldn't touch this one either. Yeah.
Too weird of a fight.
And to be fair, I do think it would be enjoyable enough where you don't have to bet it, because I mean, it's not the most. These aren't two household names by any means, but these two men will come in there and scrap.
Yeah,
and they'll go for each other. So I think it will be an entertaining enough fight. But yeah, so you're going with Lee, and I'm taking Bilder. But both of us seem to be equally lacking in confidence on this one. So that should probably say it all about where we are.
That should tell you.
All right, so fight number 5. We have a welterweight scrap between Themba Gorimbo and Rodriguez. I know Gorimbo obviously got a free house from The Rock, and that's fantastic. I don't really see how that makes him a 3-1 favorite, though.
I don't understand those odds.
I don't understand how that happens. It's like, I don't think Gorimbo is that good. And there's no way that at minus 300, I'm going to be betting on him that there's no way. There's nothing that he showed me that he should be a minus 300 against anyone. I thought that this was going to be a close pick'em, or I thought maybe Gorimbo would be the slight favorite.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I thought the win he got against Sato. I mean, Sato's fine, but he was washed at that point. And AJ Fletcher pretty much dominated him, and we've all seen that AJ Fletcher hasn't really gone on to amount to anything. And Pete Rodriguez, while he's not a world beater, he's a dog, and he can crack. So, you know, this is another typical... And, you know, Gorimbo would be seen as the grappler in this one, but I wouldn't necessarily call him a grappler. Mm-hmm. So, and Rodriguez would obviously be... I think he's got more FUD in his strikes. I don't think Rodriguez is that terrible on the ground. You know, he has been, you know, actively practicing his BJJ for the last 5 or 6 years. Mm-hmm. And I think I saw him at plus 235. I have to take the dog in that one. I'm going with Rodriguez. I cannot bet on Gorimbo at minus 300. Do I think Gorimbo could possibly win? Yeah, but at minus 300, you ain't seeing me take that shit, bro.
Yeah, I think it's kind of bizarre that that line is like that. And I'm looking at, you know, where they came from. You know, Gorimbo coming from the EFC, which if you're watching and you haven't gone to watch the EFC, like on the internet, like they have some crazy fights. And then Pete Rodriguez comes from Icon. I would say the EFC does have a little bit stiffer competition, but to your point, Pete Rodriguez can crack. And it's really just a matter of, can Gorimbo get him down to exercise his, you know, easiest path to victory. And looking at those odds, like, who in their right mind is going to say, just because the dude got a house and The Rock helped him out, like that's not going to get you this win. Pete Rodriguez don't care about none of that. So
in fact, he's probably going to have a chip on his shoulder. Where's my house?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. For sure. Yeah, I would go from a betting perspective, definitely go Pete Rodriguez. And I would actually feel kind of confident. Like Themba Gorimbo, like, kind of gives me Blood Diamond vibes, not from his appearance, but from like the way his confidence could wane in a fight, you know, like it did against AJ Fletcher. Like, he gave me those same vibes. Yeah,
he looked beaten, didn't he?
Yeah.
There was just a point where you saw it in his eyes where he was like, I'm done here. And he was just kind of trying to survive. Yeah, I just think Rodriguez is an absolute dog. I don't think he's the most technical, but I think he's dog tough, and I think in a fight like this, it's going to matter.
Yep.
So Rodriguez as the dog, I think is a decent one. All right, so fight number 6, and this is, you know, effectively the feature fight of the prelims. We've got flyweights. We've got Energy Johnson versus Azat MAKSUM. Now, I'm a little bit concerned about this one. I know that MAKSUM is 17-0, but I'll be honest, I'm not really convinced, and the issue for me again goes back to the odds. Johnson is on a nasty 3-fight skid. He has had some close... Most of his fights are pretty close. And this could be the end of the road for him if he loses. Mm-hmm. I actually think he's decently well-rounded. The biggest hole that Johnson has in his game, unfortunately for him in this one, is his takedown defense. Like, he's got pretty good Muay Thai. I'm actually going to go with a plus 2.5 in this one. And the reason why I'm going for that in particular is I think that this is going to be the hardest fight that MAKSUM has had. And I can see this one being a pretty close decision because I think Johnson is far superior in the stand-up. And I think that MAKSUM obviously has a much more developed takedown game and that he racks up points that way. I just don't trust judging anymore. And I think with the odds the way that they are, I don't feel comfortable betting on one man either way. But I can see them both being durable, applying each other's game on each other, and it making it past the midway point of the third round. I do think MAKSUM will edge a decision, by the way. I do think MAKSUM will get his hand raised. But I can see it being a 2 rounds to 1, one round being particularly, or who do we pick it for? That's how I can kind of see this going. I do favor MAKSUM to get the decision, but I can see this one being very close.
I think the fight that MAKSUM had against Tyson Nam kind of tells you everything that you need to know about this fight. Tyson Nam is a person that I was high on for quite a while, until he started to run into trouble, and it was because of his power at this weight class. And Charles Johnson has, like you said, pretty good striking. And what MAKSUM did to Tyson Nam to make him not sit down on his punches, to be a reluctant striker and to kind of change his game, I see him doing the same thing to Charles Johnson. Tyson Nam has better takedown defense than Charles Johnson. And so I think MAKSUM actually thinks he takes it 3-0. I think he just washes him. And I don't think it'll be, crazy dominant by any means, but I think it'll be pretty clear that he won those rounds. Now, for Charles, I hope that doesn't happen, because I've definitely seen, him on social media and different things on YouTube and things like that. He seems like a really cool person, but being cool doesn't help you in the cage. So it doesn't. And so I think that MAKSUM, continues this Kazakhstan resurgence in the UFC.
Yeah, I can't bet against Kazakhstanis anymore, especially with such a spirited leader they've got.
Man, the one time that I was like, okay, yeah, Kazakhstan, I think you got this one, was Maria Agapova against Jillian Robertson. Man. Dude, that was so crazy.
She is a weird one. She's a strange one. I think there's something going on with her. I'm not going to say exactly what it is because I don't want to be rude. I think there's something up there. I think she might have a chromosome or two in the wrong place. That's all I'm going to say. She just has.
I like her though. I really do.
I like her. I was very high on her when she came in because she looked good, but then again, when you start putting her against the upper echelons a little bit, she really struggled. Bless her.
She did. She like a bigger version of Joanna in J-Chick.
Yeah, a little bit more gangly and uncoordinated. But there was some promise there. And at least she has fun fights. All right, so the main event. Yeah, they are. So, to round off the prelims, we have one of my favorite fighters. It's a strawweight fight, which I didn't realize until I was doing the research into this, between Molly McCann and Diana BELBITA. Now, this is a rematch, and they are clearly trying to get Molly a win here. For some reason, the UFC wants her to do quite well. I'm assuming it's for the British market. I find her very annoying. I do think that if Molly makes the weight, she probably will have an advantage, as much as I hate to admit it. And I think the reason why that is, BELBITA is not going to try to take her down. Now, she might shock us all and go for that. But Molly McCann, her best kind of path to victory usually is when she can get somebody to strike with her and then just out-tough her and out-tough them. As soon as you try to take her down, she's screwed. She's got literally no takedown defense game. And I think they've singled out BELBITA as being like, right, she's beaten her before, she's not going to try to take her down. It's at a lower weight, so Molly McCann will have a better chance of bullying her again. This is a very clear UFC trying to get Molly McCann back on course. I do think the BELBITA has improved. I'm just going to look at some of the odds here. Do you know what I've just realized? You can get +1, you can get over 1.5 at +100, which is nearly evens. So they clearly think that this fight is gonna end early, and they went to a decision last time.
Yeah,
I think that might be the way to go, because I don't know if I can trust Molly at +1. If it was +2.5, I'd be like, nah, do you know what? I'm not touching that. But to get nearly evens at +1.5, that might be the way to go, man.
Yeah. I think so.
I
And
think I'm going to go with that.
it's an interesting fight in the sense that I don't know if you heard, but BELBITA was actually considering retirement.
That's not a good sign.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking.
No, but having said that as well, Molly McCann's been talking about retiring if she loses this fight as well.
That's interesting. So this is a loser goes home.
They might end up both going home.
Loser leaves town.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? It could be so awful that they're both just like, should we just quit together? Let's just both leave.
I don't know, but like BELBITA, she's got, you know, the reach advantage, a significant reach advantage that I don't think that she'll necessarily use in this particular fight, because Molly I think Molly's going to walk through anything that she's throwing, because that's just what she does. She's going to walk through it and out tough her. But it's not to say that BELBITA is not tough, because she is. But for this one, I think it really comes down to mindset, and I think that Molly does want to win. And does BELBITA want to win, or does she want to survive? I don't know. And
it's a very fair
because
point.
of that, I got to go Molly. Just because of that. And I mean, I do see in certain places that she's a significant favorite, but I don't know. This is another one that I wouldn't feel super comfortable betting on, considering the mindset of both of them right now. But if I were, and I didn't want to lose any money, then I would probably go Molly. But I wouldn't be very comfortable with it.
Yeah, I totally agree. I do worry about the mindset of both of them, and as I said, the fact that it's in a new weight class is kind of concerning to me as well, because we don't know how those cuts are going to go. To be fair, Molly does look pretty determined in training, so you know, and like I said, she does have the psychological edge for having the win before. But again, it will be a standing fight, and it won't be the most technical, but it should be fun for a woman's fight.
True.
To some extent. You know,
you put the caveat on that. And you know, did you see? I don't know if you knew that BELBITA was like the cut person at Unified 55. She's one of the cut people. So I thought maybe that's
very interesting.
Starting her new career already. I don't know.
Interesting sidebar to take for sure. Yeah. All right, so for this one, I'm gonna put up a quick overview of what both of our betting preferences are. So that will bring an end to the prelim card.